Okay guys, so we're going to start linking up the fingers to the slider bar systems we made. We're going to start with these ones right here, the finger rotation sliders. Pretty easy setup, just like before. We're going to use the index base, that's index 01, index 02, and 03. A lot of rigs you'll see a bone on the end here. That's for visual purposes. This one's actually going to be controlling this end tip here. So this is actually all you really need. So I'm going to right click and select hierarchy on this bone. And then I'm going to go up here to select hierarchy. Either way. So that's the same thing. So let's head into the animation dropdown. We're going to go key, set, driven key, set. And there's our 3 joints. Now, there's going to be a few different rotations. We're not going to do translation or anything like that, but we're mostly going to be doing rotation in the Z in this instance. And then when it comes to doing the spread, we're probably going to do a little bit of Y. I don't think we need to do any furling like this, but we could definitely include it if we need it. I think what we'll do is maybe do an additional control that lets us do that. Okay, so let's go rotate Z. And the driver in this case is going to be index finger. We're going to key it. So we got the left hand control index finger slider linked to the bones themselves in rotate Z. And after you hit key, there's a connection. Now I'm going to take the index finger and slide it to 10. And then I'm going to take all of these guys and decide where 10 is going to be. So let's rotate this forward. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. Maybe around there is fine. Okay, so that looks pretty good. If you want a little more curl, you can be independent. Like you can basically do one at a time. So if you want this one to curl a little bit more, you can, like that. Okay, so it's totally fine. You don't have to do them all independently. So just let you know. I think I will go back to here and maybe rotate this a little bit further. Yeah, I like that. Pretty good. So I'm going to key that, and then we're going to unfurl it here. So I'm going to take the index finger back to 0. So that's going to be our first slider. So let's take it to -5. And now I'm going to grab all of these and rotate the other way. And I like really pushing these values. That's just so the animator has even more control than they need. So the decision, if they wanted to break the rig, they can have a little bit more control to do so. So that's what I like to do. I'm going to key that. Let's give it a slide. So here's +5, here's -3.8, there's -5, so you can do the whole thing. Alright, so that's the first finger. I'm going to go to the middle finger now. So I selected middle finger in the driver, and now I'm going to right click, select hierarchy, and add the middle finger in the driven. And again, I'm going to stick with rotate Z in this case. So let's key it, and I'm going to take the middle finger to 10, and I'm going to rotate to where I think 10 would be. Okay, same as before, I'm just going to curl this finger a little bit more. I don't want it going through the mesh. Although it's probably okay if it does. If your hand goes back, you can always curl it more. So that looks pretty good for me. I'm going to key that. And I'm going to take both of them to -5. The reason I'm doing that is so I can have a comparative comparative finger here. Looks pretty good. Alright, I'm going to key that one. I'll take them both to 10 now. let's load up the next one. This is going to be the ring finger. I'm going to right click, select hierarchy, load driven. There they are there. And I'm linking this to rotate Z as well. So let's key it. And now I'm going to take the ring to 10 and rotate those joints to where I think 10 would be. Okay. No, it's almost a little too far in the too rotated in I think X. So we could definitely work on that. Yeah, it's a bit of a skewing issue here. So what I'm going to do to fix this is I'm going to look at, like, will X fix it? And I think X helps. Y I don't want to touch though, because that's going to be my spread value. So you know what, I might just leave it, simply because we'll have a spread in here. So if it interpenetrates, we can just fix it with the spread. So I think that'll be fine. So I'll take the ring and spread it some if that becomes an issue later on. Let's take everything to -5 now. And same thing, select hierarchy. And I'll key it. Okay, let's move on to the pinky. So there's the pinky. Select hierarchy. Rotate Z, I'm going to key it. And I'm going to take the pinky. Oh, sorry. It's got to start on 0, so I'm going to take a 0 and key that. And even though I keyed it, if I take this to 10 now, it'll just override that value I had. So it's totally fine. As long as you have a non-clean value like 9 point something. Okay, so that looks great. I'm going to key that. Let's take everything to -5. And then we'll key that. So this is our progress so far. Take it all the way to 10 and we'll work on the thumb. Now, so I'm going to select the thumb in the hand controller. And the tricky thing here is that we need to have multiple values, but we also don't want to interfere with the spread, so we got to find the right one. Okay, so I'm going to grab all 3 of these, load driven, and I'll grab all 3, rotate X, Y, and Z, and I'll key that. Now the first one I want to do is the thumb at 10. So not really the easiest, but we want to, basically if we pose it, we should be fine, right? And so what I like to do at this stage is just make sure they're all in a fist and sort of pose my thumb based on that, right? So it tends to work out pretty well. So I'm going to rotate it one section at a time. Not too bad. I'm going to rotate it in Y a bit. Kind of like a fist. I'm going to turn off the bones here. Looking not too bad. Down arrow. I like that. It works. Once we get the spread in there, the fist won't look so tight around finger parts. But yeah, looks good. So I'm going to key that. Now I'm going to take everything to -5, and I'm going to go the opposite way now. Okay, so I'm going to take that thumb again. I'm just rotating in Z. Yeah, that looks good. So we'll key that, and we'll just take a test here. So here's the fist, and then there's the hands out. And you can do anything in between. You can do one finger at a time as well. Yeah, so that looks great, and I'm gonna zero this out. And in the next video, I'm gonna be doing the same thing. To the other hand, I'm gonna use the same values, and I'm gonna be copying from one side to the other. So if you want to watch that, you can, but it's pretty much the same thing we just did here. So feel free to skip that next video.